So, you've come here for Sunday roast.
Oh, yeah. Sunday roast, yes.
Sunday roast. Park the car for me.
Okay. I'm going to do this because I want to. Was there anything wrong with that?
Anything wrong with it? I don't think so. What was right with it?
It was easy. I didn't have to do any complicated manoeuvres. I'm not obstructing anyone with my turning.
What were your thought processes then? What made you think that's what I'm going to do?
Well, I saw this guy parking here and I thought, that's a really good idea. But I know that I might need a bit more room to kind of wiggle myself into that space. I can use the fact that there are no cars around at the moment to kind of turn in and then glide myself into the space in front, which not only makes it easier for me to get out, but it's also easier for the people around me because they can clearly see what I'm doing.
Any disadvantages with what we did?
It's not always possible because it could be packed and it may not always be possible to glide into that space, same as people next to me and stuff
Okay.
like that.
So you recognise that there's a time and a place to do what you did, but
Yeah.
there might be situations that mean that you can't. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll perhaps look at that in terms of simulate that kind of scenario and see whether we can come up with some different solutions. What you've just done is double parking. In other words, you've driven through one bay into another to position yourself nicely, as you said, for lots of reasons. I think probably all the times that I drive a car, that's probably the one that I do the most, actually, because as you say, it makes sense. You can use the space that's around you, you've got yourself nicely positioned, ready to move off. It's easy for everybody else as well. Interestingly, on your driving test, you will be asked to park the car. You're potentially going to be asked to park the car. Double spacing isn't going to be allowed on your driving test. So despite it being a skill that you may well use, coming in forward into a space by driving through another one is not something they're looking for you to do. So if you were choosing to park forward into a space, or you've been told to on your driving test park forward into a space, let's go around the car park again and presume that you can't drive through a space because it is busy. So look at your other options of how you're going to drive into a space, knowing that that isn't an option. So presuming that other cars are going to be parked and you can't double space it. Over to you. I'm happy for you to choose your space, James, but just basically driving so that you're ending up the same way that you'd have today, the same way you have now. So in a way that you're happy, that is convenient for you and everybody else, and that is legal. Don't care what you do. Just any way of not kind of double spacing, not driving through a space.
I think that's good.
Harder, easier, or just different to what you did when you did your first park?
Different. I think if I had positioned myself a bit more that way, I could have glided in a bit better I don't think they're necessarily harder. I think it was just more the fact that I was thinking I could do what I did there and manoeuvre myself into the space more effectively with less room that
Okay.
I couldn't.
So I'm hearing you say that by creating that extra bit of space for yourself by going out wide and then coming in is the thing that helps you get yourself straight. When you recognised that you weren't straight and you said, I'm going to have to reverse, problem with that? Is that something that you are allowed to do on test?
Is it? I'm not sure.
What do you
I would
reckon?
guess it is, because it's not only testing skill and the fact that you have judged the space wrong and you're correcting a mistake. It's also the fact that you'd have to be very aware of what's going on around you, which
Yeah.
is something they also look for.
Yeah, so just showing off another skill. Absolutely. Look at it that way. You're right, this is about, of course this is about preparing you for tests, but this is real stuff, isn't it? And there's a very fine line between a test and real life. You know, they're wanting to see that you are going to be able to do this after the test, so yeah, good stuff. What are the advantages about driving forward into a car parking space like this then?
You can see what's in front of you when you turn in, and you can manoeuvre a bit more easily. So you can, when you're turning, you can see everything in front of you. So say there's like a car pulling out there, you can see that. However, things like anything behind you can't see, and reversing out proves itself difficult because anything coming from there I can't see at all. That's why we've got the mirrors.
So you've got a different kind of blind spot area
Yeah.
when you're now reversing out. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got advantages and disadvantages there then. When you're ready then, reverse out, keeping in mind those disadvantages for me, and just show me with your eyes how you are keeping yourself and other people safe.
Okay, so it's fine by the gas on. Slow.
That'll do. How would that?
Oh,
That's
that's very
right.
quiet still.
How would that be different if you had cars parked either side of you?
I wouldn't be able to turn as... I don't know what the word is. Harshly, I think, as I did.
Okay.
I'd be having to reverse out and then turn,
Okay.
which may have meant several turns. I don't know why I'm doing this, but...
Give it another go for me. Choose a space to drive forward into. Choice is yours. And this time as you drive out, imagine that you've got cars either side of you.
Oh. Completely totaled the car next to me.
Think about your dangers as you're reversing backwards. That's it.
This is the roll to advantage. Yes. Like that. There we go. Swerve. Brake. I don't think I'm that off. Well, I think actually maybe if I put it forward a bit more. I'm just not happy with them. There we go. There it is. On a hill. I just want to. Yeah, I'm parked.
Yeah, happy?
Let's go get some food.
Okay. So, you have had your carvery, you've come out and the place is packed, and you've got cars either side of you, and you now need to reverse out. So imagining those cars either side of you, and think about how it's going to be different to what you just did.
I'm going to use the fact that I'm on a hill to my
Still
advantage.
think about your dangers, James.
is turning. Now I want to turn. Stop. Now we're going forwards. Yeah.
Well done, you. Round the car park again. Let's watch these guys coming in who aren't necessarily expecting you to go round. So. Okay, another scenario then.
I don't think you know. Oh yeah, he does.
Okay. Another scenario. You've come here for your work's Christmas dinner and it's absolutely packed
Mm-hmm.
and there's one space left. And the space is between the blue and the yellow car.
God.
Okay? So one space left between the blue and the yellow car. What's your thoughts?
Do I want to park in that space?
Okay. What are your alternatives?
I could go find somewhere else to park and walk.
Mm-hmm.
I could just not turn up for my work's Christmas dinner. I don't need to say hi to people.
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, I could reverse in, or I could fault my car in.
Make a decision.
Let's go find somewhere else. No. Would have to park it.
It's pouring with rain and it's -3. Quick glance around you before you move.
He was not having anything.
Okay. So it's pouring with rain, it's -3. You don't really want to have to walk.
Let's just go home. Go home, have a nice cooked dinner. Maybe
Try
go
again
visit
next
family.
Christmas.
Yeah, go visit next Christmas. So we couldn't make it, feeling a bit ill.
What is it about the space then that's putting you off?
There's nothing wrong with the space. It's just I'm kind of running through every scenario I can think of in my head, and I don't like the outcome of some of them.
Keep running through the scenarios. Tell me a decision.
I'm going to go
Look
around
around you.
one more time, and I'm going to try and do it.
Okay, so what is the best of those scenarios? What is the option that you're finally going with, knowing that you are going to park in that space?
I'm going to do it so perfectly you'll pass me immediately.
Okay.
Pass me on the test that I haven't even started yet.
Talk me through the perfectness. What is going to make it perfect?
Planning ahead of time, getting the spacing right, not hitting either of the cars.
Okay.
I can just cut across these spaces.
And are you going forward in or are you going backwards in?
I'm not sure. Backward in would make it difficult getting in. Forwards in would make it difficult getting out. So I'm going to forwards in. Ooh, James like that. Reverse
Where's your danger?
the car. Bit of gas.
Quick glance at the front of your car.
Okay.
Glance at the very front again.
Okay. I think that should be good. Turn. Nice and thin. There. Handbrake up. Let's go be miserable. I don't really like Sue. Sue isn't a very nice work colleague. She just constantly talks.
You don't have to sit next to her.
Yeah, you have a point there.
So, what made that go well?
I don't really know, but I was very happy turning in. I think again, if I'd given myself a lot more space, because there was a lot more space by the side of me, I would have probably just been able to glide in and not have to reverse.
But that's experience, isn't it? And
Yeah.
that spatial awareness and being aware of what you can do. But you get the principle behind it, you get the theory behind that. You said as you were coming up, when you were umming and ahhing between the pros and cons of driving in and reversing in, you said that driving in made it harder to get out,
Yeah.
but easier to get in,
Yes.
whereas reversing made it harder to get in, but easier to get out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk me through that. Talk me through that thought process.
Driving in, I'm a lot closer to the windows. I can touch the windows and I can see kind of. I'm a lot better at judging distances. It's like with the parking up on the right, I can see the curb a bit better. There's less gap between where I need to be looking and where I am.
Okay.
So I have a lot better view. I'm not relying on mirrors that are showing me an altered view. Whereas with the reversing, I'm looking through the mirrors. I'm further away from the window, so I can't see like right down next to
that
me.
window. Okay. Yeah.
And I've also got bigger blind spots. So the blind spots here, I can kind of look around and see, and they're quite thin. With the back ones, they're quite large, and I'm relying more on the mirrors because of that.
Okay. So a few disadvantages there as well, but some options, some different options. Is there a time where you would choose to reverse in rather than drive in?
I would choose to reverse.
So you actually made a conscious decision that would be a better thing for you to do?
If there was not nowhere near enough room to get my car to do the swerve in, so say the road was quite narrow.
Yeah, because we have got quite a bit of space behind us, haven't we? Which is, of course, the advantages of now about driving out, isn't it? We can now do that. If we had these cars that were behind us in parking spaces that were a bit closer, or perhaps even a bigger vehicle that was longer in the spaces behind, that would potentially affect you, wouldn't it, now as you're reversing out? So perhaps that would be a time, as you say, that you would choose to do that. Have a go at it for me, James. Come out of the car park. I don't mind you double spacing it now, whether you want to drive forward now. Just be aware of other people who might not be expecting you to do it. Okay. Come round the car park and let's imagine that is the scenario, is that actually there's not enough space for you to swing yourself to get yourself in forward, and that you have made a conscious decision to reverse yourself in. Give it a go.
Fight to bite first. Okay.
Where's your danger now?
Coming from that way.
Quick glance that way then. So. So same scenario. You've come here. You've made that decision that you're going to reverse in.
Fat foot's way. Handbrake stops. Must be why she was complaining. So
What's she telling you?
she's not in gear
I
properly.
don't.
Come on.
So.
don't think I need to go forward, actually. I think I'm in the parking space. Ah, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
That's interesting. How come?
I think I think I know why it was a lot better than I thought it would be, because with the front wheels, that's where the steering is. So you're using them to kind of turn the car. With the back ones, they're stationary and rely on the front ones. So coming in like that means you have the back to deal with. You have to maneuver the back into position, but you're doing that first rather than second with coming in, which means you take up less space doing it.
Yeah. You're pivoting around those back wheels. And yeah, absolutely. No, I like that analysis. So having just experienced it and it not being as bad as you thought, is there now advantages to it that you might actually decide that this is possibly option 1 rather than option 2?
Yeah. Let's put my foot there. Scare me.
And the advantages now? So you've had your Christmas dinner.
I can see where I'm going. My blind spots aren't massive. I'm not relying on mirrors. I can forward out quite well and turn. So there's no need for me to panic with reversing and then changing gear, and I'm not obstructing many people by doing it.
Lovely. Well done you. Give me 3 factors you're going to take into consideration before you now drive out of the car parking space.
Parked cars, pedestrians, drivers.
Okay, go for it. With those 3 factors in your head, take those factors and put them into your eyes and your brain, and then when you're happy, make the decision to drive out of the car parking space, thinking of those 3 factors.